after we've learned that we can program the robot from the brick, now it's time for us to go and check out the software. Now these bricks, they can be programmed in many different languages, and Lego provided an environment that's suitable for students at all ages, and that's a very interesting environment. It's called the EV3-G, and it's a EV3 graphics, so it's a programming language. And for you to program this brick with the computer, you need a USB cable. So we need a USB cable, and we connect the USB cable right here on the PC port, or we can use a Bluetooth connection. So it depends on what you have with the robot. Do you have a Bluetooth connection, or you need to use the USB cable? And most of the time I prefer to use the USB cable. Let's have a look at the program. In the previous video we built an EV3 robot called the Easy Robot, the EasyBot, and we stopped at programming with the EV3 software. This here is the EV3 software. You start the program and you get this screen open, and on this screen you develop the program for the robot. The goal is to give certain instructions to the robot that will be executed in an order, and this is how the robot actually is programmed and how it behaves. So you give instructions, then you start the program, and these instructions are executed. Now this here is a very powerful and very interesting graphic environment, and in this graphic environment you don't program the robot using the keyboard and typing some kind of code. You do this with blocks, but it is again a very complete, as I said, a very complete programming language. And you see the next couple of videos that you can do very complex things with this environment. In the EV3-G software you have the main screen, and you have here a palette with different properties and different blocks. And some of you that have used the previous NXT version might find this a little different from the NXT. For those of you that are only using the EV3 version of the Mindstorm sets, you won't have any difficulties entering, because you don't have the legacy from the NXT. Now in the software, what we would like to do today is to stop just at moving the robot, just at controlling some of the motors. How do we control the motors? We have different blocks, and we can drag and drop these blocks in the program like this. And these are different blocks for moving. Now as you may see, some of the blocks have different color. For example, this one here, this is because currently this block is not part of the program. In order to add this block as part of the program, you must attach it to the main line of the program like this. Okay, you can delete with the delete key if you made a mistake. And what I want to do now is to program the robot, especially port D. And I would like to move the motor that's on port D. And I'll take one of these blocks, large motor. And in these blocks I can configure several things. For example, I can configure which port am I controlling, which means actually which motor, because I have the two motors connected on port A and on port D. And I can say that I would like to control the motor on port D. That's the first thing. Next thing is what would you like the motor to do? Currently I would like the motor to rotate forward. So I'm rotating the motor forward with a certain power, and this power is a percentage. So it's the motors have a minimum power 0 and the maximum power 100. and this here is actually the percentage of the maximum power. I would like this motor to move with 50% of its power, and I would like this motor to move for one rotation. So rotate the motor only once, not the robot, but the motor. The motor will rotate once. And the third property is what would you like the motor to do when the motor stops? Would you like the motor to stop exactly after one rotation, or then this here is the brake option, or we would like the motor to coast? So this means that it will have some inertia and it will continue. We'll see different options. Let's leave this for brake now. And now, as we have the first instruction, we must run it on the robot and see if it works. How do we run this block? We have a few options right here down in the corner, in the lower right corner. We can download the program to the robot, or we can download and run the program on the robot, or we can just run selected. The option that I'll use is download and run. I'll now switch the camera and we'll download the program to the robot. This here is the robot. It's connected with the USB cable to the laptop, and let's now download and run the program. Let's do this again. Download and run. What you can see is that motor D, it's this one here, motor D connected to port D. This motor rotates for one rotation, one full rotation of the motor, and that's different from one full rotation of the robot. One full rotation of the motor will take us here, and in order to rotate, to make a full rotation with the robot, we need to continue rotating the motor. So probably for, I don't know, 3 or 5 rotations. So this will be one full rotation of the robot, and one full rotation of the motor is just this. Okay, let's try to add additional blocks to our program. Other things that we can do in our program is, of course, to control other motors. For example, let's also include motor A, and now again use a large motor, and I'll configure it to rotate motor A, and I would like motor A to rotate for one rotation again, but this time I would like motor A to rotate in reverse direction. So by adding minus to the power, we rotate the motor in reverse. Let's see how the program goes. I'm now downloading and running the program. Again, let's see what happens. We run. We first move with motor D and we move forward, and then we move with motor A and we move backward. Again, both of the motors are moving for one rotation, and it's one rotation of the motor, not the robot. How can we do this? But let's move the motors simultaneously. In this program, both blocks are executed one after the other. So we first have motor D and then motor A. Now we would like to move both motors simultaneously. So while moving motor D, also to move motor A. And there are a couple of solutions. First, there's another block called move tank. And this block gives us the following options. We can, I'll delete this one, and I'll delete, no, I'm not deleting them. I'll just leave them here so that we can have them as a solution. This block is move tank, and we can control. Okay, we want to move the first motor A forward with power of 50, and the second motor D backward with the power of 50, minus 50. And let's do this for 2 rotations, and this will move A and D simultaneously. Let's check this. Now I download and run the program, and we see that the robot moves with motor A and motor D, and motor A is moving forward, motor D is moving backward. Again, both motors are moving for 2 rotations, and very important, these are rotations of the motor, these are not rotations of the robot. Of course, there are many more things we can do with moving the motors, and we'll explore them in the next video.